So this is centrifuge and ash. We will put with centrifuge and ash. Now we will go with centrifuge. This again is the same. This again is the same cuttings taken from the same rig, courtesy of Precision Drilling 282. Centrifuge and shale cuttings. We are going to mix this now with sawdust. I'm just going to rinse this out quickly.
Okay, I'm just going to put this on pause.
Where did we leave off? Okay, so
now you're getting sawdust.
Okay, ready?
Yep.
Okay, I've cleaned out my container up to par, I believe. This again is the centrifuge and it's shale. We're going to mix it with the sawdust. We just did the centrifuge with the ash. We're going to take the centrifuge and the shale now. As you can tell, this is very great sawdust. It's top of the line. That's the full 1-to-1. As you can tell now, if we try and put this to the same structure, the similarities are very close. You still have lots of absorption here that could still be optimized. I could see we could still use some more sawdust. Just to do a quick comparison, we'll grab some paper towel, put it onto the paper towel, lift it with just the weight of the paper towel, and see what there is.
Do you think with the way the sawmills and everything are all closing down, sawdust is going to become a very, very sought after commodity? And
I think it's going to be, based on what I've seen now, I can see it's going to be very scarce,
yes.
And I can see it's going to be very limited,
yes,
to those who are willing to pay the most money for it, and it's going to be very expensive. This alternative to ash, we're anticipating a lower risk with it and a higher output, where you can see it pretty much turn it back into topsoil. I believe with the ash, we'll have more of a structure base, and with the ash it optimizes and makes the whole industry more competitive, where if you can optimize your sawdust versus your ash, it will keep the rate of the sawdust down, as well as it'll give you more alternatives when sawdust becomes inefficient or scarce. So now let's just see, we'll lift the paper towel up strictly by the weight. As you can tell, it's even heavier, whether we've used more product versus the ash, but you can tell it won't even stay on the paper as per se. And as we lift the paper towel to dump it back on, you can see the paper towel pretty much falls apart, but still you have minimum to the same absorption rate. But without the ash, you don't have the structure, which in turn could have your loads to shift, could have, you know, very many different variables. With the instability of the sawdust versus the stability of the ash, you can just tell by looking at the component. I've even noticed with the ash to the sawdust, it's kind of minimized odor as well. So what we'll do is we'll put this sample back with the Now, just as you can tell, if you can tell the difference between this pile versus the ash pile, you can see your volume. You can see where your volume is. You can see the 1-to-1 ratio. You can still see very large amounts of ash still here that you didn't need. So we over-absorbed it with ash. You can tell how it's pretty much back to the topsoil grade, and if you squeeze it, it's, you know, it's clumpy. It's like topsoil. Now, if you go over to the centrifuge cuttings with shale and sawdust, you can tell that, you know, it's very, the volume has pretty much doubled, whereas your ash is powder based, so it's very minimal in volume and has a great absorption ratio, whereas your sawdust has doubled your volume. So if you're hauling a bases out per load, you would get more for your money.
And probably in the winter time when it's 40 below, you have less chance of the first product with the ash of freezing in your box and hanging up at the top, right?
Even, yeah, oh, definitely. Even if you look, you can tell, you can see the moisture or the saturation in the sawdust. If you go back to the ash, you can see it's pretty much dry. It's like dirt. It's like you can even break it into clumps. It's very fine. It's dry. It's almost like a dust particle. It's great. I think you may have really uncovered quite a new generation of absorption. Now, if you just take another look back to your sawdust, I could still see, you know, adding more sawdust to this to make it drier, more stable, so it doesn't shift as easy. You know, I could see adding more to this and having a higher than 1-to-1 ratio.